title of Tsuppari Wars threw me for a bit of a loop. I knew that Tsuppari were the slaps in sumo, but there's no sumo to be found at all here. The Tsuppari in Tsuppari Wars refers to the fact that these characters are punks, and this is a strategy game about warring gangs. There is a story mode in Tsuppari Wars, but the story doesn't really amount to much. You're a new student just transferred into a junior high, and the first thing you have to do is establish your dominance there by beating up the gang leader. And once that's complete, you decide to beat up everyone else. That quest takes you to 3 different maps where your goal is to defeat the gang leader on each one. On the maps there will be territory that you control, territory that they control, and a lot of gray areas. The numbers here represent how many gang members are in each area. The strategic mode is turn-based, and there are 3 phases to each turn. We're going to skip the first one because you don't get it on your first turn. The second phase is attacking. And here you select the territory you want to attack from by hitting A, and then pointing at the territory you want to attack and hit A again. There have to be other gang members there to attack. If there's no number in the territory, you have to wait until later. When you attack, you go to this kind of overhead view where a whole bunch of your gang members and a whole bunch of theirs clash. You can see the numbers that both sides have at the bottom of the screen. In this mode, pressing B will attack, and tapping A will rotate through which gang member you're controlling. Watch out for the big guys. They can't really be defeated by normal means, and so they tend to knock out huge quantities of the opposing force. The best way to take them out is to take your own big guy and ram them together. That starts a Street Fighter style side view fighting mode where A punches and B kicks. If you grab someone, then hitting A and B at the same time will throw them. And obviously your goal is to wear down your opponent's hit points. Gang combat is running on a timer, and when it runs out, the battle's over and everyone goes home. And that timer doesn't stop when you're in the fighting game mode. If a big guy survives combat and they have less than 250 hit points, then they recover to 250 hit points. While you're fighting, if you hold down the A button, then you can select what item you want to use. These are the icons below your quantity of troops. There are 6 different items, and you gain 1 more random token anytime you take territory from a gang you're actually opposing. That is, someone other than Gray. The items are kind of awkward to use. A lot of them are indiscriminate in who they harm. But because of that, and the fact that battles run on a timer, you can use items to easily stall out a huge force even when you have hardly anyone there. The catfish item causes an earthquake, which just basically makes it hard to control your troops for a few seconds. If you're the victim of it, you'll bounce around for a bit instead of being able to move. Lightning is probably the most effective of the items. You just kill a bunch of enemies. From this point on, all of the items are a lot more situational, and it's probably a good idea to withdraw your forces by moving them off screen when you use these. The fire item causes flames to appear randomly across the battlefield, and anyone who wanders into them will get hurt. AI characters aren't smart enough to avoid them. The motorcycle has someone from your gang drive back and forth, knocking everyone over. 110 is the number to call the police in Japan, and when they come out they beat up any gang members they can catch and haul them off to jail. The Yakuza will wander in and just beat up anybody who crosses his path. As mentioned, defensively your best option is to run out the clock. When it comes to attacking, you only get 1 bite at the apple, so if you can run your 1 survivor around the map for 15 seconds, you've effectively halted the enemy advance. When you're attacking, there's not much strategy other than don't get surrounded and mash the attack button. The side view fighting is terrible. It feels like half the hits don't connect, while the AI can just drain your health away. The only thing I came up with that worked was jump kicking people over and over again, and even that relies on them not standing on top of you. Once you're done attacking on the strategic mode, you can press the B button, and you can advance to the next phase by choosing not to attack anymore. The final phase of the turn is move, and you can freely move troops between neighboring sections, or into any territory that is totally unoccupied. But because move comes after attack, unoccupied territory is actually very valuable for your defense. Really, the ideal strategy is to have one large blob of fighters and have them move together as a group. Now you might be saying, well, this looks an awful lot like a territory control game. Don't you want to control territory? And the answer to that is no. You gain absolutely nothing for having territory under your control. After you're done moving, you end the phase the same way you did when you ended attacking, and then any other players take their turns. Then when your turn comes around again, you gain reinforcements. The number of reinforcements you gain is actually based on the number of people you beat up. That does mean that attacking neutral territories can be helpful. The battles go back and forth in this cycle of recruitment, attack, move, until somebody takes out the opposing gang leader. There's 2 other modes in Tsuppari Wars. In the first, you could face 2 AI opponents on one of 7 different maps, but it's still the same game. And the other mode is solely the fighting game. You select a team of 5 punks, which are all actually identical, and take on another team of 5 punks. Even if you're defeated, your opponent is still weakened. But considering how poorly this combat plays out, they'll still beat you up a lot. In Japan, nobody seems to like Tsuppari Wars, and most of the dislike seems to be directed at how combat is just random. As for myself, well, I wish that the strategic map wasn't so bland. It makes it feel like you're just fighting for white blobs. And then the actual action is terrible. I harped on the fighting game mode a lot, but even the overhead action doesn't play well. And there's some basic interface issues, like how attackers are always marked as 1P and defenders are always marked as 2P, so it flips back and forth constantly. The best thing in Tsuppari Wars are the wacky gang member portraits when you're selecting your character. Everything else here just doesn't really work very well.